Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering? If the answer is yes, then you're ready.
I never apologize for being a man, and I will never say that I have any privilege, because quite frankly, I don't think.
Have you ever been in an Uber texting a mate just to make sure that someone knows you're getting home safely? Have you ever held a hand over your drink the entire night to make sure you don't get spiked? Have you ever changed your outfit before leaving home because you can't be bothered with the unwanted attention? Have you ever rejected someone just for them to turn around and call you a fucking bitch? Have you ever just been scared of someone of the opposite sex? Have you ever faked an orgasm because it's safer than telling the person you're sleeping with just to stop? Have you ever had to make up that you have another half so that someone at a bar will leave you alone? You could argue that women have privileges too, like being bought drinks at clubs, but that's only because the person buying us the drink wants to fuck us. There are other privileges that women have, like getting custody over children, but that's a product of the system that we're in. And it's a system that we're in that we're trying to change, which would genuinely benefit you guys as well. We're trying to balance the world out, and in order for you guys to gain some privilege, you also need to lose some.
Femme isn't a lesbian-only term. Wait, don't go anywhere. Hear me out. Put your preconceived ideas of what femme is aside for 2 minutes. Let's talk about what feminist means, and then we'll see how it applies not only to lesbians. To preface this, I'd like to say that this is not discourse, and this is not personal. This is not about me trying to put myself where I don't belong. I'm here to talk about queer history and gender theory. I'll be including sources in the comments, and I have a degree in gender studies where I never got below an A in any class over 4 years. I've also edited journals, I can give you book recommendations, etc. Point is, I'm not just making shit up. This is not about me. I'm trying to share information with you about queer theory and history, so we can all contribute to a healthy, happy community, okay? So let's get to it. What does femme mean? The biggest misconception that I see is people equating feminist with femininity. Those are not the same thing. Feminist is not about putting on a dress or looking girly or whatever. That's part of it, but that's not the point. So what is feminist? Feminist is the queering of femininity. Femininity is traditionally considered to be how women appear and act in order to be palatable and desirable to men. A queer femme reclaims femininity from patriarchy and subverts it, embracing their femininity in a way that has nothing to do with appealing to cishet men. This is why feminist comes from lesbian culture, because a femme lesbian is engaging in feminine activities, behaviors, ideas, and appearance in a way that is for other women and not for men. However, any queer person can queer femininity. Therefore, any queer person can be a femme. For example, a transmasc femme is taking the feminine attributes, expectations that have been imposed on them for their whole life because they were a girl and is now queering them. The femininity is not because they are a girl, because they're not. And the femininity is not meant to be palatable to cishet men and is not performed as a woman. A non-binary femme is completely stripping femininity away from womanhood, taking it away from the patriarchy in its very nature. Any queer person can be a femme. Also, this isn't new. Femme wasn't a lesbian term for 100 years and then suddenly stolen by the Gen Z transes. No. Femme as a gay male identity has also been around for decades. And of course, feminist has deep roots in trans femininity, and they didn't take it from lesbians. Feminist is complex, and I think the popular misconception that femme means a lesbian in a dress is harmful to the entire queer community. You're limiting gender diversity, actually erasing queer history, speaking over trans people, and dividing us.
It's really crazy how much of a role culture, background, upbringing plays, especially when it comes to how you interpret the data that's presented to you. And something that I've found as a climate scientist is that any woman of color, Black women especially, when they are exposed to the same data that white scientists are exposed to, we come to a totally different conclusion, and we always come to the same conclusion, which is that the oppression of people is equal to the oppression of land, and we need to focus on people first. And it's so crazy that the exact same data can be presented in the exact same way to people from a different background, and their takeaway is save the dolphins, metal straws, reduce CO2 and things of that nature without focusing on the people. And that's why it's so important that we have people from diverse backgrounds, particularly Black and Indigenous women, involved and their voices involved, because we can see something that they can't, you know? It's cool.
Hello! We've been receiving a couple comments like this, so I'm here to respond. We've partnered with the YWCA to give out free gender-affirming products to members of our community. We are receiving these products from the YWCA for free. We offer chest binders in the sizes extra small to 5XL. We offer packing briefs from sizes extra small to 3XL. And we offer tucking gaffs from the sizes extra small to 2XL. Our size ranges differ depending on product. If you have any other questions, comments, or complaints, feel free to contact us at this number or this email. Have a joyous day.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad you asked this question. It's such an important one, and it really shows the importance of understanding labels and how invalidating or validating it can be to somebody who identifies especially as trans or queer. And so in this case, I'm assuming that your friend was into women, and that's why they identified as a lesbian. But then they met somebody who was a trans man and they were attracted to them. So in that case, I would say your friend is some kind of multisexual, like bisexual or pansexual, polysexual, omnisexual. And here's why. Basically, a trans man is just a man. It doesn't matter. You mentioned later that he's pre-op. It doesn't matter. A trans man is a man. Transgender is just an adjective. And he should be treated exactly as any other man, in which case your friend is attracted to a man or dating a man. That doesn't make her straight, based on trying to use the pronouns you use. It doesn't make her straight because she's also been attracted to women in the past. So I would say some kind of multisexual.
I'm going to explain white privilege in a way that is easy to digest and understand. It does not mean that you have not faced any hardship. It does not mean that you have not lived a hard life. It means that the things that you endured were not because of your skin color. The things that you went through were not because of your skin color. Are you hearing me right? Everybody has privileges, but what's wrong is you not recognizing them and using them for good. White people have a lot of movies, books, and toys that have a lot of representation of their skin color. Authorities, police, and employers treat white people and people of color very differently. You guys don't face systematic oppression for being white. A white man with a bad record is 10% more likely to get a job than a black man with a clean one. In my community, I'm also privileged. Since I'm light-skinned, I don't face racism as frequently as someone who's dark-skinned. Instead of ignoring your privilege, use it for good. Be on the right side of history.
So I never understand the concept of getting all dressed up to go to the airport. It's always like, you're going to the airport, who do you have to impress?
Story time. So I went to Costa Rica for a Spanish school trip when I was a senior, and yes, I was a senior taking Spanish 1, but that's a story for around the time. One of the teachers that went on the trip was like completely dressed up, like was wearing like a blouse and had heels on, and I was like, girl, why are you wearing heels? I literally was like, you're wearing heels, why? Don't you want to be comfortable for the flight? And she was like, honey, there's actually a reason for this. And I was like, mind sharing? And she was like, yeah, so I'm white and they always put me in first class if I'm dressed nice. I was 17 years old and I was like, honey, you shouldn't say that out loud. But now I'm older and I know that white privilege is real, and like that was just crazy to see that. So, couldn't it be me?
That is correct. It is 2021, year of our Lord Cthulhu, and we are here to say that this is now the ideal male body type. You may not like it, but that's just how it is. And yes, the world is very shitty.
Let me tell you something, Darla. I'm not like those guys. I'm in touch with my feminine side. Savage, yeah. Classy, bougie, ratchet, yeah. Sassy, moody, nasty, yeah. Acting stupid, what's happening?
Morning there, Douglas. Come on in and have a seat. Thanks. Seem a little overly confident there, Doug. Haven't offered you the job yet. Okay. I see here you're applying for the administrative man-assistant position. Looks like you're currently in a similar role over at Women Make All Decisions, otherwise known as We Mad. Gets me every time. Why would you want to leave such a great organization, Doug? Well, they just keep telling me to smile more. Well, Doug, honestly, it wouldn't hurt. I've already made a note here that you don't smile enough, okay? Anyway, let's get right to it. How does your wife feel about you working outside of the house, Doug? I'm single. You're single? What's wrong with you, Doug? Plan on having kids in the future, Doug? Men lose value after they have kids, Doug. How do you feel working around all women, Doug? This office has what I like to call big V energy, okay? You feel me? We like to use phrases like grab them by the balls, if you know what I mean. You're not gonna find that offensive, are you?
Why should your right to freedom of speech trump a trans person's right not to be
Because
offended?
in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. I mean, look at the conversation we're having right now. You know, like you're certainly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that? It's been rather uncomfortable.
So you haven't sat there and I'm just trying to work that out. I mean,
Ha, gotcha.
you have got me. I'm trying to work that through in my head. Yeah. It took a while.
It did, yeah.
Took a while.
Like, how dope it must be to be able to say it's just hair.
So I made that little video talking about hair and cultural appropriation, and some of y'all in the comments are triggered. What's crazy is never once in the video did I say who could and could not do their edges. Not once did I say who could and could not do box braids. I literally said you could do what you want, just prepare for the consequences. And that wasn't even the main point. The point of the video was that it's not just hair. But some of y'all watched that entire video. Listen to me explain how Black people need literal laws to be allowed to wear their hair the way it grows out of their scalp. And still hopped in my comments just to say, it is just hair. Stop being divisive. Like I said in that video, it is so great that you have the privilege of believing that, Samantha. And whether or not you want to hear anything I'm saying is totally up to you. But at the end of the day, my point still stands. You're still privileged, and Black people are still being discriminated against for their hair. Good fucking day.